Good afternoon. Half a day. The Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing is now called to order. Today is Wednesday, April 7, 2021. The time now is 2:03. Notice for this public hearing were disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets. Public notice were given on March 30th, April 5th, and today is April 7th, Wednesday. The time now is 2:03. The committee will hear and accept testimony on Bill 74-36, introduced by myself, co-sponsored by Vice Speaker Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Senator Jose Pedo Terlaje, Senator Clynton Ridgell, and Senator Mary Camacho Torres. An act to amend Section 26203.2 of Chapter 26, Title 2, Guam Code Annotated, relative to permanently increasing the gross threshold for limited exemption on the business privilege tax for certain small businesses, and to further repeal Section 26203.3 of Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues that have joined me today. I have Speaker Teresa Terlaje and Senator Terlaje. The conduct of this public hearing shall be as follows. Those testifying on behalf of Bill 74-36 will be recognized in the order of the sign-up sheet. We have Mrs. Claire Delgado. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide my legislative staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Testimonies may be read, and lengthy testimony shall be summarized to about 5 minutes. Individuals will be allowed to present oral testimony only once. Once you're done, you are now asked, Ms. Delgado, to please just stay in the hearing room, so that we can ask you any questions, or you may ask us for any clarification if you may desire. Question testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violation of the general rule of conduct will result in the removal from the public hearing room. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum may be restricted from providing oral testimony and will be escorted from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. Please state your name and your title for the record. We'll now begin to discuss Bill 74-36. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, on this bill that I introduced and co-sponsored by my colleagues, our island has been battling this pandemic for just over a year now, and our business continued to feel its effect. Last year, we passed a bill that would increase the threshold for limited exemption, the Dave Santos Act, and place a sunset provision in that law in hopes that we would be able to assist small business recover, providing them with some form of stability in their operation. We are seeing these small businesses provide their service and products to our people on a daily basis, hustling to keep Guam moving, bringing some form of normalcy to our community while keeping and practicing safe and healthy protocols. This measure will continue to assist these businesses and the families they employ. Last month, in the Governor's State of Island address, she called upon us to remove the sunset provision, making the threshold permanent. This bill fulfills this request, and I look forward to seeing this through to continue the assistance our small businesses are in dire need of. I want to thank Vice Speakers Tina Muña Barnes, Senator Terlaje, Pedo Terlaje, Senator Ridgell, and Senator Mary Torres for their support as co-sponsors. I ask my other colleagues for their support in building capacity for our island small business community. Zeus Marcia, I'd like to also recognize Senator Chris Duenas has joined us this afternoon. I look forward to reporting this out in the committee so we can ensure the measure continues to support our business and our island community as a whole. Thank you, Senator Pedo Terlaje has also joined us, co-sponsor. And we will now begin with testimony from Ms. Delgado.
Thank you, Senator. Today, my capacity is I am a member of the Government Committee for the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, and I will be reading the testimony on behalf of the President, Laura Nelson Cepeda. So it'll be as follows. Hafaday Senator San Agustin and committee members, the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce hereby provides the following testimony in favor of Bill number 74-36, relative to permanently increasing the gross threshold for limited exemptions on the business privilege taxes for certain small businesses and to further repeal Section 26203.3 of Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated. This bill permanently applies the 3% business privilege tax rate to the first $250,000 of the gross receipts for all companies making up to $500,000. Previously, companies making over $250,000 would pay the full rate on their earnings. According to information from the Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation, nearly 85% of all Guam businesses fall under the $250,000 or less threshold for BPT. Another 5% fall between $250,000 to $500,000. That is roughly 90% of all businesses on Guam. If this bill is passed into law, the other 10% businesses that gross over $500,000 annually will continue to pay the current rate of 5% BPT. A noteworthy effect of this bill, while giving companies that gross over $500,000 a tax break, is that it could potentially place more of Guam's tax burden on its largest businesses. While the GWCC fully supports this BPT tax reduction to 3% for businesses that gross between $250,000 and $500,000, we urge this committee to ensure that the reduction in taxes paid to the government that would result if this bill is passed into law will not adversely affect government services. One of the main issues that this pandemic has brought to light is the fact that many of our government services, especially those offered by Department of Revenue and Taxation, Public Works, Land Management, and other agencies, need to upgrade their online services. We hope that some of the approximately $630 million slated for Guam under the American Rescue Plan Act will be used to upgrade those services. Senator San Agustin, we know that you have written to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen inquiring if tax offsets passed now would jeopardize any of Guam's ARPA funding. The ARPA specifically notes that federal recovery funds should not be used to offset reductions in state or local taxes. However, it should be noted that a decrease in the business privilege tax from 5% to the pre-2018 level of 4% has been ongoing since well before the onset of the pandemic. The GWCC wants what everyone wants: a thriving Guam economy once again. Our members are business owners and employees, and we want to see all businesses back in operation after a year of devastation caused by this COVID-19 pandemic. We believe that a reduction in the BPT for businesses grossing under $500,000 will help stimulate Guam's economic recovery. We just urge senators to weigh all the benefits and consequences of adjusting the BPT before doing so. Si Duas Masi for the opportunity to testify in support of Bill 7436. Sincerely, Laura Nelson Cepeda, President of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Ms. Delgado. Would you like to make any other statement, or that would wrap it up?
This would wrap it up.
All right, thank you. Madam Speaker, would you like to ask any questions to towards the Guam Women's Chamber?
If you could just clarify, Claire, the part here in your testimony where you say that more of Guam's tax burdens will be on its largest businesses, but they will be paying the same tax that they are paying now.
That's the number that we get. That's the information.
So there won't be any increase on those businesses.
Okay.
Right?
I'm not sure. I would defer to the, I just know that this is the information that we have come up with in order to provide the testimony.
Okay.
In order to support the bill. I just, unfortunately, this time I just don't have any other further information.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think this bill does not propose any increase in tax burden on any other businesses. It just proposes that the current exemption will go forever, I guess. And I am concerned, as the Guam Women's Chamber is, with ensuring that if this bill is passed into law, it will not adversely affect government services. And that, I guess, is the million-dollar question, right? It's so the Guam Women's Chamber suggests that the $630 million be used to make up for any shortfall in government services that might result from from passage of this bill, which I guess from BBMR's estimates, they were not able to make a very clear estimate. They said the Bureau is unable to determine an approximate financial impact at this time. However, the Bureau notes that additional exemptions from BPT remittances will exacerbate the shortfall noted above for FY21 and prospectively. It's, of course, confusing because BBMR saying it's going to exacerbate the shortfall, yet the governor at the State of the Island was the one who suggested that this exemption be made permanent for 90% of our business owners. And so I have no objection to making it permanent, but I too am concerned about how we are going to make up for these government services, especially beyond the use of the 660 million, and dependent on the rules of the use of that. And but yeah, I'm glad that at least the chamber acknowledged that there are there are some government services that could definitely not, they should not be shorted because we are already suffering from their inability to provide services efficiently or electronically, as you pointed out. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I note that the impact of the original law was estimated, I think, to be an additional 5 million at the time, or, which, compared to 660, doesn't sound like that much. So I don't know what the impact is today. BVMR is not able to predict that, but I am thinking that a lot of this, depends on how the 661 million is slated to be used.
Yes.
And if we can do that without cutting government services, the essential ones, then that we should do that. And
yes, that's important.
I think, I was worried about something else. It was the, can't remember right now, but I guess I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chair. It's just, I think we all support an exemption if the critical government services can be carried out. And that is, I guess, our number one concern, Mr. Chair, with the budget that's upcoming is can we ensure that, right? Oh, and that's what I was going to point out is that according to the CRER, we are at least 25 million, I think, or 22 or 25 million short in business privilege tax collections compared to what we predicted. That's just up, for the month, up to this month. If you forecast that, it's over 100 million. And our special funds are also short, and we are subsidizing special funds, the tourist attraction fund, customs, their funds, all kinds of special funds we are subsidizing with the general funds, which are, like I said, $25 million short. So I am very concerned about if we come up with $100 million shortfall in the general fund or in the government of Guam's budget for 2021, so we have to clear that with the 661 million plus the 300 million the governor has set aside for the hospital, plus, whatever else is, the deficit for FY22, perhaps, that we might have another 100 million. It doesn't leave much to enhance any of these services. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and that's understandable. We're the position is we really want the businesses to get back again and to start stimulating the economy and get us, hopefully to somewhat pre-pandemic levels. I mean, this is the core of our association.
Do you believe that the current law, it's in place already right now, this exemption from BPT? Do you believe that it is helping these businesses get back on their feet right now?
Well, I don't have an official, not speaking officially from the Guam Women's Chamber, but I think we can all agree that, every little bit to help the small businesses, is always welcome.
Well, that's been the theory, and so I agree with that, and I don't have any objection to it. I just want to see the numbers, Mr. Chair, we could, on the table as to what exactly would be the impact to which agencies if we are going to prolong this, decrease in revenues, and that's all. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Claire.
All right, thank you, Speaker. Senator, I'd like to also recognize Senator Joanne Brown has joined us this afternoon. Senator Tello, do you have any question to
Yes.
Ms. Delgado?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. Alpha Claire, good to see you.
It's good to see you again too, Senator.
You know, I had the opportunity to read the testimony last night and review it, and I noticed that the beginning at the forefront, it was in favor. And then as I was reading down to some of the situations that you talked about, I was, first I was surprised to see that 90% of most businesses on Guam are below, 500,000. I mean, you have a threshold of 250 to 500 at only about, 5%, but 85%, is below the threshold of 250,000. I mean, that's a lot of small businesses on Guam, quite a bit. These numbers, were you able to, is these accurate numbers you were able to retain, or when this testimony was?
Yes, the committee has made sure that everything that we have put in our testimony is information that we could back up, absolutely.
Okay, great, excellent, excellent. I'd like to know where those numbers came from. Is that from Rev and Tax? Were you able to achieve these numbers from Rev and Tax?
Yes, that's according to the testimony, yes.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And then as you go further down, when you were talking about, the speaker actually had a lot of great questions, the ones that I had even last night when I was looking at this. And the one part which grasped me was the reduction in taxes paid to the government of Guam will result in this bill passed into law not adversely affecting government services. That particular section on the third paragraph, but if you look at this and do the math, it will, it'll shortchange certain agencies. Agencies like, DPW, we have a lot of road issues. And I know you travel the road quite a bit in your profession, that the roads are in dire need. Our hospital is total in dire need, as well as other agencies that provide services to the government of Guam. So, if you do the math on this, it will jeopardize, other agencies unless we have a huge infusion, which of course you brought up earlier about the American Rescue Act coming in. I too had some concerns. So that's why I was kind of surprised. At the very beginning you say in favor, but yet if you do the math, it will jeopardize. I mean, do you see it that way too as well? I mean,
well, we see, I think that when you give businesses the opportunity to start generating income, there would be an infusion into the as far as taxes are concerned, paying the BPT. So, it's basically my opinion that where, if you have more businesses, contributing to the, the business privilege tax, I think that would be a better situation than not having enough businesses out there and contributing with a higher tax rate. If that's, it'll kind of not balance, maybe balance it out. But I think the bottom line is that we want to see the businesses get back. We want them to open their doors and start, and they want to get back. They want to open their doors. They want to be a contributing member of the, part of the economy.
are you starting to see many of the small businesses shutting their doors now, or starting to open them up, considering now we're at 75% capacity in the community as far as businesses? Are you seeing them coming back and opening up, or closing down as businesses?
I don't have an official number. I mean, I'm just, from what I can eyeball, and this is just what I see personally. And if I may, unfortunately, I don't have the board with me here, so, I'm just speaking based on what I can see. I do see some businesses opening up, and I do see other businesses who want to open up. And I think that, any incentive that we can provide for them and, would be essential. I do know of some that also have closed their doors and weren't able to open back up because of, the current situations that we're in.
So you think if this bill were to pass that we're going to see more small businesses start to open up, those who decided to close their doors or not open up, or people who want to open up a small business, do you see that if this bill were to pass, that there would be more people doing that?
I think this is the hope. That's the hope with the intent of, the support behind the bill.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Okay.
That's our
I just
hope.
wanted to hear that.
I mean, I think that's everybody's hope to get the, a thriving economy.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Senator.
Claire, and if the data that you gave us here about, the 85% and the 5% of a threshold of 90, if you can get that same kind of data with the small businesses that have closed, who've decided not to open up again, and businesses that are coming up. I think Rev and Tax, I wish they were here today, Mr. Chair. Was looking forward to getting some numbers from them as well, especially because of this legislation, to show how many new people, how many business licenses are now being requested for a license at this point. And I hear it's quite a bit, that people are opening up businesses now. But I thank you again, and Mr. Chair, if we can, DBMR did not provide the information that I was hoping for, as well as Rev and Tax. So hopefully we can get a statement from them. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Claire. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Tello. Senator Chris, do you have any questions you want to pose to Ms. Delgado? Or comment about the bill?
Yeah, Jesus Masi, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Ms. Delgado. Thank you for being here. So I guess most of the questions have been pretty much answered and posed to you with regard to Bill 74. But I really read with interest because I agree with you, or read the statement from the Guam Women's Chamber where I agree, where you say, Senator San Agustin, we know that you have written to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen inquiring if tax offsets passed now would jeopardize any of Guam's ARPA funding. The ARPA specifically notes that recovery funds should not be used to offset reductions in state or local taxes. However, it should be noted that a decrease in the business privilege tax from 5% to the pre-2018 level of 4% has been ongoing since well before the onset of the pandemic. And I read that into the record one more time because I completely agree with you, but I want to make sure we get this on the record. This is exactly what the Chamber, the Guam Chamber of Commerce, has been asking and has been in the media also saying that not only because of the 4% to 5% to 4% reduction has been an ongoing effort, but also now in consideration of the reimbursement of EITC, which should be a net gain to the government of Guam from approximately 58, maybe upwards of $60 million. So my question to you then, based on the testimony, is it basically your assertion that the Guam Women's Chamber is in line with the Guam Chamber of Commerce on this issue?
Yes, the testimony has said so.
Okay, good. Because I think that's really important. I think we have seen in some instances, some differences, but the way I read this is very clear to me that the statement that's being made here is that the Guam Women's Chamber is aligned with the Guam Chamber of Commerce on this issue. And I think it's very important because, this, while the testimony on Bill 74, and Mr. Chairman, I was surprised that 72 and 74 weren't heard at the same time, since they kind of call for the same issue, but that's the privilege of the chair. But I would say that this is really good news, because I wasn't anticipating this to be part of the testimony on 74, as the 5 to 4%, of course, are separate and apart from this existing law already. So once again, Sidus Masi for this presentation, because I think it really strengthens our position. And maybe we'll now compel the chair to hear the other bills, particularly the one that reduces the BPT from 5 to 4 straight away, given this very strong representation from the Guam Women's Chamber. Sidus Masi, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Chris. Senator Joanne, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not so much any questions, but I kind of concur with Senator Chris's comments. I mean, I think we're chipping away at this whole issue with the BPT rather than dealing with the BPT overall, especially if a vast majority of our businesses on Guam fall under the category or would be identified as small businesses, that perhaps this is a way to pacify rather than simply addressing parity overall for small businesses and large businesses that, contribute to our economy and hire people. And that's what we want to see. We want to see the economy stimulated again. We want to see people working again. I mean, we're very fortunate, certainly, that we've received the federal funds to kind of offset the adverse economic impact that's happened as a result of COVID. However, we know that's not going to sustain itself. I mean, I hear the Director of Labor probably more than any other director in the government of Guam because of the important role he and his agency have in distributing these federal funds to our community. But at the same time, we know that train and that ride is going to be coming to an end. And when it does, we're not really going to have much of a bridge over to ensure that that kind of income is coming to our community, particularly those that have had reduced work hours or no work hours because they've lost their jobs. Between that and the time we are hoping that the economy is going to regenerate and re-stimulate to get us anywhere of where we were in January of last year. So I just think we need to be mindful of it. I think these token, I kind of look at it, while it's nice, I think it's a token step being taken to kind of pacify our issue with regards to the business community and actually just move forward. If the vast majority of our businesses are these small businesses, then why aren't we just inclusively addressing it to our entire BPT issue that impacts the entire business community and the rest of our economy so that we can give it a big enough jump start to get us to where we need to go, because time is running out on us. And while we can sit here and say, yes, we support these reductions, we also know that shortly we're going to have to deal with the reality of less revenue coming in. And where are those cuts going to be made? Because we don't have the administration being forthcoming with a specific plan on what they are going to do with the additional federal funds that they are receiving. We keep hearing that magic figure of $661 million. And we don't know where that money's going. We haven't seen a plan on how it's going to be spent. It's certainly a discussion that we need to have, because we need to know how is this going to impact our budget. And are there areas where those funds can offset decreases in our government so that we can fund other critical areas that the federal funding is not able to fund. So I think that's a bigger picture issue that we really, as a legislature right now, while we're in this interim time, that's really what we should be focusing on, because I think we're selling the public short, and I think we're selling our business community short that's been challenged by doing these incremental pieces of legislation that may offset certain things and feel that we're doing something significant when the big picture really is not being addressed, and the consequences of not dealing with it now are literally going to come home to roost, especially after the $661 million disappear. Then what? Then what? So I just feel it's important to make these comments and put this discussion out there, because I still don't think this addresses the bigger issue, and I think we have an obligation to look at the bigger picture issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to comment on this bill.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Senator Pedo, Terlaje, do you have any comments you want? None at all. Okay, Ms. Claire, thank you for your letter. And I'm happy when you identified 90% of all businesses are small business to start with. And it is really neat on your second page when you identified that when we first introduced this bill was when it was no pandemic.
Yeah.
And when they say that it makes exacerbate the shortfall in the Gulf of Guam, it didn't do it last year and it didn't do it the year before. Remind my colleagues, for some that were here and some that weren't. We had a surplus of what, 19 million Then the following year, we had a surplus of 20 million. Before that, we were shooting at 22 when we were supposed to give 10 million to GMH. We ended up being 35. We didn't give a penny to GMH. In 2020 alone, it's estimated to be about $20 million surplus. So what shortfall are we talking about by helping small business? Nothing. There's no shortfall. And I understand my colleagues would like to check out the other tax breaks. This doesn't impact what the Recovery Act asked for. So this was ongoing before. To make it permanent is something that's already in the books. It's just a matter of making it officially permanent. But the Recovery Act is anything we do from here forward as of March 3rd, then we got to be careful. That's what the letter that led to the letter to the Department of Justice, or Treasury. So with that, and there's no one else to testify, the committee will continue to receive testimony and address your written testimony to the Committee on General Government Appropriation, and Housing, and submit it via email to Senator joe.saugustin@gmail.com or to my office located at Rand Care Building, 2nd floor, Suite 3, 761 South Marine Corps Drive, Tamuning, Guam. Jesus Masi, Claire, for your attendance and participate in today's hearing. And for those at home, thank you for watching. The public hearing on Bill 74-36 EOR is now adjourned. It is now 2:34. Thank you all, my colleagues, for attending, and have a nice day. Be safe.